Hey everyone, my name is Jake. I'm 26 years old and I'm from Brazil. Just a few months ago, things were completely different for me. In fact, only 5 months ago, I couldn't speak even a single complete sentence in English. Not even something as simple as, "How are you?" without stopping to think too much. I was totally lost. Today, I want to share with you the full story of how I learned English in just 5 months. Without paying for expensive classes, without traveling to an English-speaking country, and without wasting my time on methods that don't work. But this story isn't only about me. It's also about you. If you've ever felt stuck, frustrated, or embarrassed because of your English, then keep watching. I was in the exact same position as you are right now, and I promise, if you listen carefully to my journey step by step, you'll know exactly how to improve your English too. Let's start from the very beginning. Because to be honest, my journey didn't start with motivation or success. It started with failure. And not just a small failure, but the kind of failure that hurts so much, it forces you to change your life forever. For as long as I can remember, I wanted to work for an international company. My dream was clear. I wanted to be a software engineer in a big tech company. I loved coding. I was good at it. I practiced day and night. I thought if I just mastered my field, everything else would fall into place. Finally, after years of hard work, I got my chance. I applied to a huge company in the US. One morning, I opened my email and saw the words I had been waiting for. "Congratulations, Jake. You were selected for an interview." My heart raced. I imagined myself living in a new country, earning a great salary, working with the best people. Everything seemed perfect. But then the interview happened. I opened Zoom. 3 interviewers appeared on the screen, all native English speakers. They smiled and then they started talking. At that moment, it felt like someone pressed fast forward on their voices. They spoke so quickly I couldn't understand a thing. The first question came, "Jake, can you tell us a little about yourself and your experience in software development?" Inside my head, I knew the answer. I had practiced it before. But when I tried to speak, my words collapsed. All I could say was, yes, I am software. I do coding, many projects, good, very good." Silence. The silence felt like a knife in my stomach. I saw the confusion on their faces. They asked me another question, but again I couldn't answer. Finally, one of them said politely, "All right, Jake, thank you for your time." And just like that, it was over. I didn't get the job. Not because I wasn't skilled enough. Not because I lacked experience. But because I couldn't speak English. That day I realized English isn't just a language. It's a key, the key to dreams, to opportunities, to success. And at that time I didn't have it. I felt ashamed, embarrassed, angry at myself. For years I told myself I didn't need English. I thought, if I'm good at coding, that's enough. But now I saw the truth. Without English I was invisible. That night I made a decision. I would learn English and I would learn it fast. Most people, when they want to learn English, do the same thing first. They pay for expensive courses. But I didn't do that. Why? Because I had already tried and I knew it didn't work. A year earlier I paid for online classes. The teacher gave me long lists of vocabulary, endless grammar exercises, and boring rules. I memorized them all. But after 3 months, when I tried to have a conversation, I still couldn't speak. So I realized, if I wanted to learn English fast, I needed a new system. A method that actually works in real life. And that's when I created my 5-month method. Like most beginners, I made the classic mistake of believing I needed more words. I thought, if I learn 1,000 words, I'll speak fluently. But I already knew hundreds of words and I still couldn't put them together. So for the first 15 days, I did not learn a single new word. Instead, I focused on something far more powerful. Learning how to use the words I already knew. Here's exactly what I did. I created a survival sentence list. I asked myself, what do I actually need to say every day? I wrote 50 simple sentences like, "Hi, how are you? Can you repeat that? I don't understand. I need a coffee, please." Every morning I read them out loud, 10 times each. At first my tongue felt heavy, but after a week they became automatic. I spoke to myself in English every day. When I was in the shower, I'd say, "I am taking a shower. The water is hot. I feel relaxed." When I cooked, I'd say, "I am making eggs. I like eggs. They are easy to cook." At first it felt silly, but it became my private classroom. I practiced 5 sentences from native speakers every day. I copied not just the words but also the tone, speed, and emotion. Slowly, my accent began to sound more natural. By the end of just 15 days, something amazing happened. I stopped translating in my head. After 2 weeks, I could say basic sentences, but I wanted more. I wanted real conversations. I wanted fluency. So I created a system that changed everything. The question-answer method. I'd ask myself simple questions like, "What did you do today?" At first, my answer was short. I worked. But then I added more. I worked on my project for 3 hours. Then I took a break. Then I had coffee. Every time I added more details. This forced my brain to think in English without hesitation. The echo technique. I'd listen to a native speaker, pause and repeat exactly the same speed, emotion, rhythm. I practiced with movie lines, podcasts, YouTube videos. Slowly, my pronunciation became natural. The story method. Instead of memorizing word lists, I picked 5 new words daily, made a short story with them, read it out loud, and used them in conversations. Step by step, my English brain grew stronger. Now I was confident, but I also knew I needed to understand grammar naturally. I didn't study grammar books. Instead, I listened carefully to how native speakers used grammar. For example, I realized they say, "I have been learning English for 5 months," instead of, "I am learning English for 5 months." I wrote daily journals, copying the style of native speakers. I practiced shadowing videos with headphones every day. I spoke to strangers whenever I could. And most importantly, I lost my fear of mistakes. Soon I was speaking to native speakers online. I was nervous at first, but then I realized they didn't care if I made small mistakes. They appreciated the effort. That gave me confidence. Real confidence. 5 months later, I wasn't the same Jake anymore. I reapplied to the same company. This time the interview was completely different. I answered every question clearly, confidently, fluently. A few days later, I got the call. "Congratulations, Jake, you got the job. My dream job. $5,000 a month." My parents cried when I told them. I realized then, it wasn't just about me. It was about giving back to my family, proving that anything is possible with effort and discipline. Mindset is everything. Believe you can and you will. Surround yourself with English daily. Speak without fear of mistakes. Use shadowing and echo techniques. Learn vocabulary in context. Practice grammar naturally, not from books. And be consistent. Every single day. This is English Horizon. If you enjoy the video, please don't forget to subscribe the channel.